I do want to just take a second to reflect on something I heard a couple of days ago. This is one of the leaders of Hamas, Ghazi Hamad. Just take a listen to this.
إسرائيل دولة لا مقام لها على أرضنا. إحنا الدولة لابد أن نزيلها لأنه بالفعل هي تعتبر كارثة أمنية وعسكرية وسياسية للأمة العربية والإسلامية، يجب أن تنتهي. لذلك احنا لا نخجل من نقول ذلك بكل قوة، إنه إسرائيل لازم نأدبها، وحنأدبها مرة ثانية وثالثة، ومش هذا حتكون طوفان الأقصى أول مرة، لا حتكون ثانية وثالثة ورابعة، لأنه احنا لدينا إصرار ولدينا قرار ولدينا إمكانيات أن نقاتل نعم. ونحارب، لكن كما قلت لك بدنا ندفع ثمن. نعم احنا مستعدين، معلش بدي أقول لك بشكل واضح، احنا اسمنا شعب الشهداء.
Right, so that was an interview on October the 24th. If you're listening on the radio, you wouldn't have seen those subtitles. I'll summarise. He's saying that Hamas is basically dedicated to the annihilation of Israel. He feels that the attacks are fully justified. They are committed, basically, to attacking Israel using force if needed to. They mentioned that actually this October the 7th thing was the first thing. There could potentially be a second and a third and all the rest of it. They want to end the occupation on all Palestinian lands, not just Gaza, and they believe the existence of Israel is illogical. So, I mean, that's what we're dealing with here. It's all well and good talking about how do you get peace and people want ceasefires and all the rest of it. How can you have ceasefires, which, by the way, as a human being, as a mummy who sees imagery and hears of the goings-on of the awful situation, it breaks my heart innocent people in Gaza being murdered in the same way that it did innocent people in Israel being murdered. So the idea of ceasefire sounds good, but the practical reality when you're dealing with those kind of people, not really sure about that would even get off the ground. Where are you?
It's certainly not get off the ground, and it explains Israel's massive force against Hamas, because he won't be alone out there. That guy, he will represent, tens of thousands of people within Gaza. And unless you take those people out, you are going to face this problem forever. So you might as well face. After all, it's Israel that's fighting for its survival. Do you think that if it went the other way, that there would be one single Jew left alive in Israel if Hamas and people like him had their way?
I know you are in favour of a ceasefire, is that right?
Yeah, of course.
When you listen to the Hamas leaders like that, because anyone with a heart, right, I think anyone with a heart understands what's going on. You've got innocent people, particularly when it comes to the babies and the children. Yeah. It's heartbreaking. Anyone with a sense of humanity would say, please stop that. I mean, it makes me chill just thinking about it. But when I hear people like that, saying basically, I'm just going to carry on, we're going to carry on. That was October the 7th was part one. We're going to carry on going with force until you're all gone. How do you have a ceasefire with people like that?
So I think Israel needs to defend itself, defend its citizens against the real violence that could befall them, not necessarily this guy's violent bravado. I don't think they have the capacity to do that sort of thing again. But
would you have said they had the capacity to do what they did on October the 7th prior to October the 7th? If I'd have said to you, James, do you reckon they can do all of these assaults from the land, the air, the whatever? Would you have sat there and gone, yes, they've got the capacity to do that?
No, I probably wouldn't, although I'm not a military expert. But I think the thing that Israel should do is to pull some of the troops that it currently has in the West Bank that are engaging in arrests, and helping the continued demolition of homes and so on and so forth, the expansion of the settlements, pull those troops out to reinforce the Negev, reinforce the kibbutz that are next to Gaza, and be on heightened defensive alert. Of course, if people are making threats, you need to be on heightened defensive alert. But the idea that you can remove the desire for people to fight by killing lots more children, as you're saying, destroying the infrastructure, destroying the schools, destroying the hospitals. But Hamas is doing this to those children.
It's Hamas who are embedding themselves within the, whether it's hospitals, homes, community facilities. They are, even the UN said that Hamas are using its own citizens as human shields. So in a second, we're going to come on to these marches. But what I don't understand is if everyone wants peace and they want ceasefires and they want all of the Palestinians to be free and all the rest of it, why are people not more critical of Hamas?
I think people are perfectly and plenty critical of Hamas. I don't see anybody saying, oh no, Hamas are a fabulous progressive organisation that represent all of the values of peace, justice and dignity that we want. I don't really see anybody doing that. But we have to take the the brute reality is, you heard me being very critical, and I'll continue to be very critical of the far-right Israeli government. They need to be part of the peace as well. I would be saying exactly the same thing if I'm sitting in a Palestinian television station and they're saying, how on earth can we make peace with these people? Look what they've said. Their president, their so-called centre-left president, said that it wasn't Hamas, it was an entire nation that's responsible. How are we meant to make peace with these people that wish to wipe us out? I would still say that's what you have to do. Yes, they are trying to kill you. They are, and if you're sitting in Gaza, you can see the Israelis are trying to kill you. Nevertheless, the thing to do for the future of yourself, your family, your children, your community, your people, is to seek the path of peace. And that is what we have to see.
I mean, I've just shown you one of their leaders there. Some of these people, I mean.
So he's a much lower down leader than, for example, Isaac Herzog, the president, or the finance minister I've quoted, or Netanyahu, or so on and so forth.
But there's been more than just him.
But
I mean,
you can make a start with a ceasefire. So, for example, I think it was 2 weeks ago. I think Hamas said that they would release some foreign hostages for a 5-day ceasefire. That could be a starting point. I'm not saying that. That is going to be a solution full stop. But you have to start somewhere. We have to start somewhere, and we aren't going to be saving. It isn't even from the point of view of Israel. It isn't saving the lives of Israeli citizens to be killing more Palestinian children.
Right.
It just is not.
Armistice Day protests. I mean, I worry immensely about this weekend because I'm worried that things are going to escalate and kick off. Do you think these protests should be allowed to happen?
I think they should. And the only reason I say that, and it's with a heavy heart that I say it, is that I am fearful that in the event that the government decides to ban it, everybody turns up anyway. And not only does everybody turn up who has a political view, there will also be others who will turn up with intending to create proper violence on our streets. And if we saw law and order begin to collapse over this issue, then if I were Jewish, I would be very worried about leaving my home.
Do you think they're hate marches?
I think there is hate in the heart of some of the marchers. I wouldn't say it was a hate march. But the trouble is, it's not going to be 70,000. With all this publicity and with the religious aspect to it, I would expect it would not surprise me if there weren't a couple of 100,000 protesters on our streets in London. That is an enormous pressure on the police. But it's better that if it is an official march, then it becomes unofficial and something else breaks out. I really am fearful of this march being banned.
Do you think that the march should happen on Armistice Day?
Yes, I absolutely do. I think that there needs to be a ceasefire for the reasons that we have been discussing. And I think that it's perfectly appropriate on a day that we remember those who died in war and we commemorate the moment when the guns fell silent at the end of the slaughter of World War I. To after that, the demonstration starts after after 11 o'clock, after the minute silence. It goes nowhere near the cenotaph, and all of the organisers are extremely respectful of that.
Because according to the Telegraph today, 50% of the organisers have links to Hamas.
I honestly wouldn't believe or repeat a lot of what you will read in the Telegraph on a whole range of matters, including this.
Are they making that up?
I don't know, but the Palestine Solidarity Campaign has no links to Hamas. Stop the War Coalition has no links.
I tell you what, I don't enjoy the idea that Tommy Robinson has, now that he's got his ex Twitter feed back, has now has tweeted something which could be a call to the extreme right wing of our country to come down to the demonstration.
You see, there's more to be said on these marches. I need to squeeze in a break, but I want to come back. Some of the things that have been going on in these marches have really caught my eye. I found them deeply disturbing, and I want to get stuck into some of that because I'm told constantly that these things are just peaceful people that merely just want a ceasefire.